These challenges, in our opinion, seem to have overwhelmed our security institutions.
The governors are supposed to be the state security officers of their state.
There is need for us to at least engage the traditional rulers.
We need to do something about our porous borders.
We have to own it from the unit level to the ward level to the local government to state.
Mr. President, the importance of today for us is for us to take action.
Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. No administration previously ever spent the kind of resources this Muhammadu Buhari administration has so far spent on alleviating poverty.
Senate President commends President Buhari for his commitment to poverty alleviation.
The most important thing really are to address the thing and prevent the extinction of the donkey, especially in our flora and fauna endowment in this country.
And Senate rises to mitigate the extinction of donkeys in Nigeria. Hello and welcome to Inside the Senate. I am Hussaina Amina Aboki. This episode of Inside the Senate contains report of the third reading and passage of the bill seeking the establishment of a National Social Investment Program agency alongside other very important issues affecting Nigeria. We also have reports on motions, one of which is seeking the recovery of over 6 trillion naira grant rent accruing to the federal government. These and other matters coming your way as the program unfolds. Stay tuned for the details after the break.
The Senate will send a message to the President
to reap opportunities from that agreement.
Today is a matter of urgent public importance, and we are aware that when this particular motion comes up for a longer term development, arise to second the motion.
Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Thanks for joining us. In the week under review, the Senate Committee on Special Duties presented a report on the National Social Investment Program Agency Establishment Bill 2023 before the Senate. The report was presented on Wednesday, the 29th of March 2023 by the chairman, who disclosed that during the public hearing on the bill, stakeholders acknowledged the importance of the agency when established.
Furthermore, the agency will ensure more equitable distribution of resources to the vulnerable population, including youth, women, persons with disabilities, and vulnerable senior citizens.
No debate was taken. As a result, the report was considered in the Committee of the Whole, leading to the third reading and passage of the bill. Senate President Ahmed Lawal commented on the passage of the bill.
I'm sure Mr. President will sign this the day it will arrive at the villa. Because no administration previously ever spent the kind of resources this Muhammadu Buhari administration has so far spent on alleviating poverty through the intervention of the National Social Investment.
Same day, the Senate also considered the report of the Committee on Agriculture and Rural Development on two bills, namely Shared Development Council Establishment Bill 2023, as well as Donkey Slaughter Regulation and Export Certification Bill 2023. The committee's recommendations were concurrently presented by the committee chairman.
We recommend that the Senate do consider and pass the bill for the establishment of the She Institute for the restoration of the C3 parklands across the She belt for value addition to the She industry. I just want to add, Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, that this is a very important thing because we should know the importance of the She butter. It's one of the most important components in the cosmetics and medicinal sector, of the country. The other bill is a report for the Committee on Agriculture and Rural Development for an act to regulate the slaughter of donkeys and establish the breeding and ranching of donkeys through the export certification value chain to mitigate the extinction of donkeys and for other matters connected therewith.
We will take a short break here for our notebook segment, after which more reports on plenary will come your way. Keep watching.
Bill referral is the forwarding of a draft bill to a committee under which purview its subject matter falls. This is so that the committee can carry out more legislative action on it. Irrespective of who or where the bill originates from, such actions are taken after the second reading of the bill. The committee is given a period within which to work on the bill and report its findings to the Senate.
Welcome back. Still on plenary, on Wednesday, the 29th of March 2023, Senator Yusuf Abubakar Yusuf, under matters of urgent public importance, reported the failure of beneficiaries of over 2 million houses built and allocated by the federal government across the 36 states and the FCT to pay ground rent on them. We have a report on this alongside other matters compiled and presented from our studio.
The Senate notes that Section 49 subsection 1...
In the motion, the sponsor alleged that the unpaid ground rent amounts to over 6 trillion naira, added that when recovered, this amount will help in defraying some of the nation's expenses in this period of cash crunch.
As far back as 1992, when some of these houses were built and allocated to the beneficiaries, none has evidence of payment of ground rent on their property.
Lawmakers supported the bill, even while cautioning over land already sold off by the federal government.
I think that the federal government is supposed to have a computerized system where all such lands are located and in whose name. And I also believe that they should be able to know those who have not paid the money, not why they have not paid.
Once the federal government sold that land to either individual, maybe even agencies, the ground rent becomes payable to the state in which the land is. The thing that I would want to suggest is that when the committee is put together, let them now liaise with the mover of this motion to see those lands that falls within the FCT.
One of the resolutions on the motion is to constitute an ad hoc committee to investigate the inability of the Federal Ministry of Work and Housing to recover the 6 trillion naira ground rent.
The Senate aware that Naira redesign.
Another motion same day sought the resumption of operations of commercial banks in Oron local government area of Akwa Ibom State. Titled, Urgent Need for the Central Bank of Nigeria CBN to liaise with commercial banks to resume operation in Oron local government area of Akwa Ibom State. The sponsor, Senator Akon Eyahiye, stated that the banks were closed as a result of the currency redesign, which led to cash crunch nationwide, again leading to agitation by depositors who could not access their monies. She added that the agitation was, however, hijacked by hoodlums who destroyed banks' facilities, following which they were closed and still remain closed even when normalcy has been restored.
Despite the strategic roles that those banks play in commercial activities and the economy of our nation, comprising of 5 major local government areas, namely Mbo, Okobo, Urunguko, Refon-Ruko, and Oron local government areas. Aware that normalcy has returned in many parts of Nigeria, particularly in Oron, and that the chaos at the banks is subsided, especially since after the order by the Central Bank of Nigeria for banks to pay the old 500 and 1,000 naira notes.
One contribution was taken on the motion.
In my own local government, my Ebola local government in Adamawa State, at the onset of Boko Haram back in 2012, 2 banks in my local government were shut down because of Boko Haram attacks, and they have remained closed up to today. What I would advise is that our banking committee should investigate cases of all banks that were closed down in the rural areas over the last 10 years or so.
Accordingly, the following resolution was adopted: urge the Central Bank of Nigeria to liaise with the commercial banks that operate branches in Oron to resume full operations. Earlier on Tuesday, the 28th of March 2023, the Senate considered two executive bills seeking the extension of the implementation period of the capital component of the 2022 budgets from 31st of March to 31st of June 2023. It will be recalled that the National Assembly extended the implementation of the budget from 31st December 2022 to 31st March 2023. However, it was discovered that this obligation cannot be met due to some exigencies. As a result, two bills seeking the extension from March 31st to June 31st, 2023 were presented for Senate consideration. They are titled A Bill for an Act to Amend the 2022 Supplementary Appropriation Act 2022, as well as a Bill for an Act to Amend the 2022 Appropriation Act 2022.
This was to allow full implementation of the budget, especially in the light of the 2022 supplementary budget approved in December 2022. In view of the fact that
some senators advised that the implementation should run concurrently with the 2023 budget.
If we are extending the 2022 budget to run up to June 30th, I believe and I suggest that it should run concurrently with the 2023. Otherwise, it will create a gap.
So what the Senate can do is to extend this. It has nothing to do with 23 budget, because 23 budget is going to be on the 23 Appropriation Act.
The request is to extend the lifespan of the implementation of the 2022. So that does not in any way stop or affect the implementation of 2023. If we feel that something untoward could happen on the way and that we need this as a safeguard, then we can do that.
The bills were thereafter referred to the Committee of Supply, where they were considered clause by clause and eventually passed for third reading. The Senate President harped on implementation while commenting on the passage of the amendments sought by the executive.
We must ensure that we implement all the three budgets now: the amended 2022, the amended supplementary, and the 2023 Appropriation Act. These are supposed to go on pari passu.
You are still watching the program Inside the Senate, coming your way on the parliamentary channel of the Nigerian Television Authority. This episode is a review of major decisions taken by the Senate during plenary of 28th to 30th March 2023. Our next report focuses on the consideration of NDIC Act, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2023, a motion on the National Park Declaration Order 2022, amongst other legislative items. Do stay tuned for the details coming up soon.
The Senate in the week under review received the report of the Committee on Banking, Insurance and Other Financial Institutions on the Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation NDIC Act Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2023. Before the presentation by the committee chairman, Senator Ubasani, Senate President Ahmed Lawal congratulated him for winning election as governor-elect of Kaduna State alongside others who also recorded victory at the polls, while also wishing others in future contests success.
All of us wish you very, very successful, peaceful, productive tenure, 4 years and +4 by the grace of God. Let me also congratulate our sister, our distinguished colleague, Senator Okoye Akinyi, who was elected as the Deputy Governor of Akwa Ibom State. We wish her the best of tenure. And our sister Binani, distinguished Senator Binani, is going to run for an inconclusive election. We wish her success. And our brothers and friends, colleagues from Kogi, Senator Smart Adeyemi, Senator Yakubu Oseni, who are also running for the Kogi State Governorship, we wish you the best of luck, and we hope that you will cooperate amongst yourselves so that one of you will eventually emerge.
With this, the way was paved for Senator Obasani, who is also the sponsor of the bill, to lay the report, after which he disclosed that the amendment being sought is in furtherance of his commitment to, amongst other things, repeal the NDIC Act 2006 and replace it with a new one to reposition the Commission as the insurer of all insurable deposit liabilities of insured institutions. He then gave a highlight of the contents of the clauses of the bill amended.
The amendment of Clause 14.4 was effected to reflect appropriate board oversight over the management of the corporation in line with international best practice. The amendment of Clause 86 was effected to ensure that the exemption on taxes and levies does not apply to the environmental sanitation levies and similar municipal charges. The amendment of Clause 87 was effected to ensure that the corporation is exempt from the Insurance Act only in relation to its core mandate as deposit insurer, such that other mandatory provisions of the Insurance Act, such as those related to third-party vehicle insurance, continue to apply to the corporation.
With no debate on the report, the bill was perused clause by clause in the Committee of the Whole, leading to its third reading and passage.
Those against say nay, the ayes have it.
Also presented for deliberation on Tuesday, the 28th of March 2023, was a motion on an executive order presented to the Senate by President Muhammadu Buhari on the 16th of November 2022. According to the Senate leader, President Muhammadu Buhari had in a letter sought Senate concurrence with the order which seeks to establish 10 additional national parks, titled Motion on the National Park Declaration Order 2022. He disclosed that the request is consequent upon due feasibility studies and environmental impact assessment in 12 selected forests and game reserves in various states listed as follows: Alawa National Park, Niger State; Apoy National Park, Bayelsa State; Edumenum National Park, Bayelsa State; Falgore National Park, Kano State; Hadeja Wetland National Park, Jigawa State; Kempe National Park, Kwara State; Kogo National Park, Katsina State; Marhi National Park, Nasarawa State; Oba Hill National Park, Osun State, as well as Pandam National Park, Plateau State. He spelled out some reasons for the establishment of the additional parks.
These additional parks are necessary for the regulation of the use of Nigeria's unique ecosystem, particularly the fauna and the flora address the fast rate of disappearance and degradation of Nigeria's forest, and to achieve and develop adequate tourism infrastructure in line with the international best practices, and to protect and preserve the biodiversity and natural heritage of Nigeria. And concludes that Section 18 of the National Park Service Act, LFM 2004, as amended, provides for the concurrence of the National Assembly in this regard.
While supporting the concurrence, lawmakers raised issues concerning proper funding of existing ones.
This concurrence that is being sought, I want to submit that is quite apt and is in order. And I see it as an attempt to take back these spaces, the forests that are so much suffer in the hands of bandits, terrorists, and the like. I'm, however, worried, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. And my worry stems from the fact that the existing ones are poorly funded. And I make it bold to say, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, that the present national parks are not receiving the kind of attention. So if this attempt to take over these forests as national parks is anything to go by, I would love to see also a funding mechanism that is designed to ensure that these and the older ones are properly funded
We have about 2 other national parks in Niger State. But honestly, today, they have become like heavens for bandits. They have become dens of bandits today. So with this bill, I believe if the federal government goes ahead to make these national parks, they should also be able to enforce and make the national park guards very effective. And with so doing, I'm sure the federal inland revenue will be able to be generating more money in terms of revenue from the tourism attraction those places will give.
Nobody is going to this national park because of the security situation. But under the new dispensation, Mr. President, I think the National Park Service has tried and finally gotten approval for them to train park rangers that will be armed. And they will be armed with the requisite armament that the army and the police are using. With this approval for concurrence, I'd also like to bring to the information of the Senate that there is an arrangement to deploy significant number of park rangers to these new parks. When that is done, Mr. President, I believe that within a short time, the issue of the internal security of those parks will also be addressed.
With this, one resolution was adopted. It is to consider and approve the request of President Muhammadu Buhari on the National Park Declaration Order 2022 in accordance with Section 18 of the National Park Service Act. Even then, the Senate President disagreed with the use of the word concur in the Act, saying it can only be between 2 legislative chambers of Parliament and not the executive.
We can ratify, we can approve, but not concur. We can concur when something, a bill or whatever comes from a sister chamber or a sister parliament. But I think the wording needs to be looked into, and if this is concurrence is what is in the act itself, then we need to look at the act. When you say concurrence, it's simply to say we have agreed. Even if you are going to agree without adding or removing anything, it should not be concurrence but ratification.
Consequently, he called on the Senate Committee on Judiciary to look into the act and correct it using the appropriate lexicon.
That report concludes the recap of events in the Senate for last week. Our profile segment is next. Stay tuned for our Senator of the Week.
Senator Michael Nat'l represents Ebonyi South Senatorial District under PDP. He attended Government College Afikpo for his West African School certificate, as well as the Enugu State University of Science and Technology, Enugu, where he earned a Bachelor of Science degree in Quantity Survey in 1997 and a Master of Science in Environmental Management in 2000. Senator Nat'l also holds the membership and fellowship of several professional quantity surveyors bodies and institutions in Nigeria. He joined politics, contested and won election to the Senate in the 2019 general elections. In the Senate, he is Vice Chairman, Committees on Poverty Alleviation as well as Air Force. His legislative interests include education, security, and agriculture.
With this, we come to the end of this episode of Inside the Senate. Join us next week for another edition. Thanks for watching.